So I'm just on my way to the second Chaingang for the spring summer. And on that, today's been like 24 degrees. It's been so good. Guys, we're going to a Chaingang. Welcome back to the What Life. Let's roll.
Oh, I don't.
Cheers, mate. So I imagine we'll probably get quite good numbers tonight, given that the kind of weather is really nice and it's actually meant to be nicer for the next few days. The only problem being is it's Tuesday tonight. We did Tuesday night fight night, and I just... Oh, hello kids. Right, Tuesday tonight. Hello. I did the marathon on Sunday, so I've basically given me 1 day of recovery. I went out on the bike yesterday, some laps of Richmond Park, but the legs are probably feeling it is a good way to describe it. So we're gonna have to, I mean, I say this like, you know, I'm gonna go and jump in on one of the easier groups tonight. There's no testing limit, there's no trying to see, you know, I just wanna go and ride my bike with the boys, have a bit of fun and hold on. It'd be nice to make a full loop. Haven't done one of those in a while actually. Okay, next stop, Windsor. You know it's summer when the poggies come out. These shoes are very sexy. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna dive in with the middle group because I feel like I probably haven't explained Fight Night very well. It's called Fight Night, but it is people working together. You know, we just do a sprint at the finish back to the petrol station. We also just, you know, a few little attacks on the only and short climb, then the group comes back together. So, you know, it sounds like we're not working with one another, and I haven't explained it because I haven't managed to make it round yet. So hopefully, you know, dive in the middle group and ride it out tonight and just work on my techers, because as you guys saw, I haven't done a proper rolling chainy in a while, and I really missed the last man on my first turn. Oh, misjudged that. So, you know, I think that was my first time back in. Got to pay a bit more attention to it all. Give me a second, because Hambini made a video this week about the SLC and the headset, the bearings. And I want to have a quick chat on that, because this is what I've been saying for the last 5 months. I emailed the Winspace guys, being like, there's too much play in this headset. I've been talking to you guys about it. Turns out one of the bearings is the wrong size. And I'm gonna let you know what effect that has on the bike. Because for 5 months I've been saying it's got a soft front end. And I'm gonna just kind of give you a bit more verbiage, a few more adjectives on kind of what I think that means. But let me get off the bike first. 2 secs. Right, we're just on Eton Bridge. So firstly, how good is it that my suspicions have been backed up by Hambini and his engineering? I might put that on my CV as a semi-qualified engineer, just based on the feel of it alone. So what does it actually feel like to have a bearing that is just a little bit too small for the headset? Okay, so the first thing that I noticed, obviously there's like a ton of play in it. So when you hold the front brake and rock it backwards and forwards, and I thought it might have been the compression ring. Hambini talks you through the whole thing. And no offense to anyone, but I think sometimes the way that content gets delivered is not always my favorite style, but the context of it is actually quite relevant and important. The second thing that the impact that it has if you don't get the new bearing is when I'm riding
When I am sat riding on this bike and I'm riding without hands, the front end feels so loose. And it's got nothing to do with the depth of my front wheel. It's because there's just less tension within that headset. So I don't enjoy doing that so much as I used to on any of my other bikes. Just kind of riding, no hands, kind of sat upright, filming. I don't do that anymore on this because that headset feels way too loose. I don't feel any control and tension through it. The other thing that I do notice is descending. I've said this all along, that it's soft. What I mean by that is all the vibrations you get through the road that come up through the front fork when you are descending, if it's not a perfectly smooth road, that vibration is multiplied because that bearing has such that extra little movement within the headset, so it vibrates that little bit more. So that all comes through the headset and into the handlebars, and I think that's what's been affecting the handling. So these are just the sensations that I am feeling. So, and someone did say, you know, obviously I make YouTubes, someone did say, you know, oh, you're full of whatever, like the headset on it is all fine. So if that person does watch this video, I would appreciate a little apology down below. Other than that, I love this bike. I think it's great. The problem is now is that for me to swap out the headset bearing, I've got integrated bar and stem, so I basically have to take off, I've got to basically unattach the hydraulic hoses. I got to completely undo everything to change out a headset bearing, which is a pain in the arse. And also, I mean, I emailed Winspace about this 5 months ago with a video demonstrating the whole thing. Ugh. I just needed a set of calipers and that would have done the job, but that's not me. Anyway, we're going to shoot over to fight night. Go and see the boys and roll some turns on my marathon legs. We'll see how that works out for me. I'm also about to build up another bike. I'm making basically more of a crit bike. It's the T1550 Gen 2. They've just brought out the T1600, but I'm going to stick with the T1550 because I've seen photos of the 1600 and the fairing that sits on the seat tube. I'm not sure whether that's me. But anyway, we're spraying and building a new bike in the next few weeks. I'm also going to try and hit the lap button tonight so you guys can see pace and power and watts per kg and stuff. Try and get a few more stats. Also, last thing to say is, guys, I'm 42 years old. I've been cycling and doing this stuff for a year. I'm not going to make the world tour. I'm all right with that. I'm not trying to, but I do love rolling turns with the boys. Tom going for a warm up. That's the big boys warming up. Right, here we go. Bike night. There's almost twice as many people as there was last week. Means I can let the fast boys go and do their thing. 10-person group.
So we're going to chalk and board this one because you guys know I love to chat about a Chaingang. We rolled out, firstly, guys, the tempo out of the garage is a lot more sedate when we roll out in the middle group. Hugh, who's the guy on the yellow Cannondale, actually helps organise the Berkshire Gregarios in some sense anyway. And if you do want to find out more about this ride and this group, dive onto Strava. The link will be down below, as well as my Strava, etc, etc. But it's all hosted through Strava. There's a Strava group and it gets posted. 6:45 is the next time we're going to meet on Tuesday night. Anyway, Hugh is such a good wheel to follow. Like, I love sitting on his wheel. Very, very, very smooth with it, which makes such a difference. Never really kind of gets out the saddle, doesn't need to, and puts down good watts. So what do we mean about good watts? What's the difference between the fast boys and these boys? Well, look, luckily enough, turns out Hugh is just a classic cyclist and likes to lap all of his pulls. So I dived onto Strava, had a look, and it turns out that we have all the data I need. So I'm sat in his wheel, and for reference, I'd say Hugh is around 80 kg. I'm about 77 maybe at the moment, maybe even a bit lighter than that. I might be 76, 77. So he's, you know, we're round about the same kind of size. He's got a pull about 320. to basically hold 4 watts per kg, or that's a 4 watt per kg pull, and then I'm like 310 basically, maybe, yeah, round about that. And sitting on his wheel's really nice, and he goes on some really good pulls. And the nice thing about, one of the things that we chat about quite a lot in the comments is people saying like, you'll get more training effect if you sit in the middle group and do big pulls and blah 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 blah. They're just very different. If I was in the fast group here, we wouldn't be going 30 miles an hour, we'd be going 36 miles an hour, and it would be hell for leather, and it would be hard work. There's Hugh just rolling off his pull. His pull for his first pull, 2.5 minutes, holding, what was it, like 340 something watts, and then I dive on the front and pull pretty similar. You can see me kind of sitting like 350-ish watts around about there as I pull through. The other thing is we are on some English country lanes, so not everything is like perfectly curated. So if you get yourself a good section for a pull, it's so much easier just to like sit on the front and kind of turn the chains and keep things rolling along. But I tried to keep mine relatively similar, kind of up in that like 330, 350 range. I probably might not have pulled for the same amount of time that Hugh did, but we'll chat about another pull from Hugh in a sec. So sitting on a good wheel, just like, it has such a different effect when you're in a chainee, because he pulls up, like when he comes up to speed, it's nothing is jerky, nothing's reactionary, everything's just like smooth, it's nice. He sat in the saddle a lot, and luckily because he laps it, we get to see the watts that he puts down. He got such a good section through here, such a good section. And also the other thing I want to point out is that because we've got 11 people in our rolling chainee, there is almost 14 minutes before we get back in, which basically means that everyone else, let's say there's 10 riders, 14 minutes, what's that, like averaging like a minute 20 per rider or something like that. My maths is terrible, especially when it's put on the spot like this. So Hugh does another good 2.5 minute pull. This is such a perfect road. But the nice thing about this pull, which is why it ends up being a touch higher, like I can't remember what it was, like 370, something like that, is because we come into a hill. And my little thing is I don't like it when people pull into a hill and then pull off at the bottom. Take us through the hill. So because I was sat on Hugh's wheel, this was such a nice night for a chainee, because I am also having to pull hard not pull hard, but a little bit harder as a second wheel as we come up this hill. And this is the nice thing about fight night. We push. And the nice thing about our chain gangs, you do get a chance to push these hills. He takes us to the top of the hill and just rolls straight off and pushes me through. The hard thing about this is that I then end up pulling through a load of different junctions, and pulling through junctions is not always the most fun thing, because you have to slow down, you have to get back up to speed. It kind of really messes with your rhythm. So although it is actually quite good training in the sense of maybe like crit work or something like that, because you come off a little bit, you get back on a little bit, and we had that a couple of times, but I was determined to kind of put in some reasonable pulls. We're on a bit of a descent coming down here. I sometimes, I don't have the biggest chain ring on my bike, sometimes find it hard to, even though the speed is up like 30, 32, 33, so that's like 56, 57 kph, I knew there was a little incline coming, small little incline. I thought, well, this is my chance to, like, come on, let's put my watts down. So this let me put a little kick in as we kind of roll up this hill nice and hard, try and keep the speed up. And you can basically see, we're holding 550 watts as we roll up that little hill. Not for long, but like I did want to make sure that we kept the speed of the group through. I wanted to roll off at this point. I was looking to roll off, but also there was a corner coming up. I didn't want to roll off on a corner, so a little shoulder check, and I was like, oh, should I roll off? And I was like, nope, roll off after the corner, find somewhere safe. So a little shoulder check. I was like, okay, I am ready to go. Lean into the corner. As soon as we come through the corner, a little bit of visibility, another shoulder check, elbow flick, boys come through. So that's my little kind of chain gang advice, where you always find somewhere safe to roll off. And this is where kind of the roads that we are riding on get a little bit nicer. But I did also want to say that I do or have got a little bit more comfortable kind of moving down the group, closer to the group, and then just rolling onto that last wheel. But we have quite a few riders tonight, which kind of made for it a little bit difficult, because obviously the concertina effect. So I kind of got to that last wheel, and that last wheel slowed up a bit. Okay, this is the whole point, not the whole point of Fight Night, but Fight Night has a little hill in it. It's called Carter's Hill. It's great. You know, it's kind of like drags on a little bit. Not steep, guys. When we say hill, we're probably over exaggerating it. But Hugh is actually, somehow we got out of formation when things slowed down, went through a junction. Hugh ends up out of formation, or our original formation ends up at the front. So he's actually, turns out, pulling us through this. And the incline starts kicking up. The guy in front of me, kind of as the watts are building up, and we were basically holding about 350, 400 watts coming into this incline, and then over 600 as we go through it. And I saw a little gap open up between his wheel and the wheel in front. I was like, don't mind if I do, sir, allow me. Dived in front. I don't go hell for leather. This is my tip about being kind of smooth, is don't be desperate to close gaps, because then that can really not help other people. And there's Hugh rolling off the front, averaging what, like 470 for the 45 seconds or so that he was sat on the front, and he took us up that incline. So, you know, thanks fella. Good strong rider. Like, that's the nice thing, is, you know, sitting on a strong wheel is always really nice, especially when they're smooth with it and they just kind of bring you up through the pack. Like, that is my highlight of rolling through kind of with these guys. Okay, so you want to see what it's like with the fast boys. There they go. This is Drift Road. Anyone that rides a bike in the Buckinghamshire area or in and around Windsor will know Drift Road. They put an effort in to basically pass us. I didn't think this was going to happen, but the front of our group, and this is basically Chaingang etiquette. And what are your thoughts on this? Because I have a few thoughts, and they play out in a second. You'll see them. Our group then obviously kicks. You can see the kick. I don't panic. Again, no need to panic. Just try and close the gap, work through. So our group ends up catching their group. And then this is me, and I'm probably about 6th wheel, letting the fast boys move back into our chain gang. And I'm kind of selectively choosing who I let to come back in. So the fast group that pinged it past us, clearly pinged it past us because they wanted to get a bit of separation. We chased on, because there's only 4 of them, there's 10 of us. And then the guy that's now dropping back, and then Nick, who's in front of me, he's allowing another one of their group to sit in front. So this is my question. You know, if you get 2 groups that are meeting, and we're on the same, you know, same club effectively, the fast group have come past us, we've chased onto their wheels. What I don't want is the fast boys having to drop back 14 wheels to then sit on the back of a medium group. You know, I'm more than happy to try and get the fast guys, the faster group, to move back in at the head of the snake. You know, and this is actually quite nice, because then I get to sit on Nick's wheel, who drops me every single time I've tried to ride in the fast group. And we're doing, you know, a casual kind of 100 and something odd watts, and it was quite nice to sit back there and not have my heart in my mouth as I was panicking. But we're about to wrap it up. The boys come through. This is basically, now we are moving through with the fast guys. So the chain gang gets a little bit yeah, it got a bit spicy, which actually was quite nice. This is me trying to hold on. I just had to do, I'm not going to go into it, but I put my efforts in. The big boys come through. We're about a kilometre or a mile, if you will, so 1.5k from the finish. I couldn't hold on. I put my kick in. The boys come through on a kick. I move out, let some of the other guys come through, hopefully quick enough that I don't completely ruin their night and they can still pull through. But yeah, it was like a real different experience, like lots of little moments that I really, really enjoyed. And that is it. Fight Night, Tuesday night.
Oh, well done.
So that is Fight Night. Absolutely different gravy, going in a slightly easier group. I will say that what I was doing as a pull for that group was basically what I was having to do in the wheels of the fast group. And you saw them come past us when they came past on drift. And then our group tried to chase them on. It turned into a bit of a, I don't know, it kind of got a little bit cowboy with the groups mixing up. I don't like that. And hopefully on the video I would have had a quick chat about, you know, letting the faster riders who are in their group basically stay in their group and kind of letting them pull in, you know, in that front. You know, if there's 4 or 5 riders, you've got to try and let them stay in the front 6, 7 wheels. Otherwise they're at the back of a 18 wheel train. And that's not, you know, they're as faster riders, If they want to drop back there, that's fine, but you know, sometimes just shout next and let them pull in. And that's, I might sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I saw Cam Nichols talk about it once on a Chaingang, where he just shouts next when he wants to kind of skip a few turns. But it's a good point, you know, these, especially on fight night where we get groups kind of meeting one another, it's interesting because obviously you want to keep the speed up, you want to have a laugh, you want to push hard. But I also think that sometimes it is just best to, yeah, maybe especially on a night when there's big groups, just let that front group go a bit. You know, we don't really get too much extra out of it as a kind of medium fast group, but a lot of fun, enjoyed it. Very different experience to rolling turns with the real fast boys. As I said, just the fact that I'm on the limit in the wheels with the fast boys, and that shows by how long I actually survive when I ride with them. It's like 10 minutes at most, whereas tonight we rolled turns for an hour and 5 minutes and it was fine. And it got a bit harder, you know, a few more efforts, a few longer pulls from the guys. I really enjoyed sitting on Hugh's wheel because nice and smooth, you know, everything's seated, don't pull back, it doesn't pull back hard. If anything happens, just gentle pull, close the gaps. I really like that, kind of helps stay controlled and measured. Yeah, when I see people kind of, and this is, I'm not trying to shame anyone, I promise you this, but when I see people kind of get out the saddle to like close a gap, I just have flashbacks of the Mallorca Paz Chaingang, where like guys are just getting out the saddle. It was dead flat and they're like out the saddle to close gaps. I'm like, oh, this is going to be an interesting day. But yeah, good one. Another fight night. It's nice to finish off a loop. I will say that. I don't think I've completed a loop in a while, so a little pat on the back for that. Let's get home and we'll round this off in a sec. Give you some stats. Just another day in the countryside. Totally normal evening for around here. Hello, Mr. Cow. Really enjoyed tonight. That was a fun one. A little bit, well, obviously a lot easier than it was last week. Kind of slightly bigger group definitely helps because you can kind of sit on and then kind of relax a bit for a whole bunch of turns, and then you take your pull at the front. Yeah, it was nice. I have a feeling that the Tuesday night Cheney out of Windsor might get a little bit busy this year, which would be cool. Be good to get like more people down, kind of grow the, one sec, grow the cycling space in the Berkshire Buckingham area. That'd be wicked. So do drop me a message if you fancy coming down, or just turn up. Petrol station outside Windsor. Berkshire Gregarios on Strava. Find them as a group, join in. Poof. But yeah, pick your poison though, because it was wildly different tonight. And then the boys also said that when they rolled out with the fast group, again, it just gets taken out hard so that they can, I think, just get like a bit of a measure for what's in store. And yeah, nothing wrong with that. Everyone's gonna get fitter for it, stronger, and it's a bit of a laugh at the same time. It is so undeniably gorgeous out here. I love where I live. Oh, bring on the summer. I mean, we are about to go over the M4, but if you excuse that bit, it's just so nice. Did a few laps at Richmond Park last night, which was amazing. I loved it. Like, really nice roads. You can just bowl around. It's awesome. I really enjoyed it. But then I come to this. Hey, come to
you know, right out here. Good for the soul.
Let me hit you with some stats. I'm using a different bike computer tonight because I'm staying off Strava for a bit. Anyway, 70k, 2 hours 40 minutes. The total average speed for the whole thing was 26k an hour. Bum, 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 bum. Right, let me see if I can get just the stats for fight night. Right, so we figured it out. The fight night lap, the loop was 43k, time of 1 hour 4 minutes 33, average speed of 40k an hour. Not bad. I mean, there's quite a few road crossings and stops and whatnot, so it's not completely rolling, and obviously it's still open road, so that's quite good. Max HR of 168, normalized power 165, 3.4 watts per kg. 207 meters of ascent, and then that's it. That's basically it. So yeah, 43k, 40k an hour at 265 normalized, which isn't bad because it didn't feel horrible tonight. So that's quite fun. We're getting there. So that gives you a bit more of an idea of where I'm at, because I feel like some people are upset that I'm not a world tour rider. I'm upset I'm not a world tour rider. I just know it's not going to happen, but some people seem to think I should be. So there we go, that's it. Guys, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I would appreciate it. Dive over to my Instagram if you do fancy it. We've got Chaingangs all summer. We've got the Isle of Wight road race coming up. We've got Via Crit coming up in June, and a bunch of other things. We've got bike build coming up as well. I need to build a new bike. You just swap out the headset on the SLC, and then, I mean, I love this bike. And that would just be the one thing that I would need to fix, is that kind of headset, the bearing. But other than that, we're all good. Guys, I'll see you on another one soon.